You are not anxious because nothing is happening. You are anxious because you do not believe it is happening. That is the real problem. Not timing, not luck, not the universe being slow. You. Your own inner state is the only thing standing between you and everything you want. And the moment you truly understand that, not just hear it, not just nod at it, but feel it land inside you like something finally making sense, everything changes. Not someday, not eventually. Now, there is something your subconscious mind already knows that your conscious mind keeps arguing with. Your subconscious does not understand waiting. It does not process time the way your thinking mind does. It does not live in yesterday. It does not worry about tomorrow. It only knows one moment. This one. Right now. Whatever you are feeling right now, whatever you are assuming right now, whatever you are quietly believing about yourself and your life right now, your subconscious is treating that as fact, not as a wish, not as a possibility, not as something to work toward, as fact, as the current reality. It must reflect back to you. This is why anxiety is so powerful. When you feel anxious about something not happening, your subconscious does not hear the desire behind the anxiety. It does not reach past your fear and find the dream underneath. It only hears what is loudest, and what is loudest is the anxiety, the absence, the lack, the not yet. The why is this taking so long? And your subconscious, loyal and precise as it always is, begins to build your reality around that feeling, not because it is punishing you, not because it is working against you, but because it is working exactly as it was designed to work. It is giving you more of what it senses you already have. More waiting, more uncertainty, more of that hollow feeling that something is missing. This is the cycle most people never escape. They want something deeply. They think about it constantly. They try every method they can find, and still nothing shifts, because the wanting itself is the problem. Wanting feels like reaching. Reaching feels like lack. And lack is exactly what the subconscious keeps producing. You cannot want your way into receiving. You have to become the version of you who already has it. Now here is where everything shifts. Relaxation is not a technique. It is not something you do to pass the time while you wait for results to arrive. It is not a breathing exercise. It is not a method you apply at night before you sleep. Relaxation is a signal. It is the most honest communication your inner world can send to your subconscious. When you are relaxed, truly relaxed, not pretending, not forcing calm on top of chaos, but genuinely settled, your subconscious receives one clear message. The threat is gone. The problem is solved. What I was worried about no longer needs to be worried about, and your subconscious does not question that signal. It does not ask for proof. It does not demand evidence. It simply accepts it and begins to operate from it. Think about this carefully. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between something that is actually happening and something you are vividly feeling as real. This is not a metaphor. This is not spiritual language dressed up to sound scientific. This is how your brain actually works when you feel calm, when you feel certain, when you carry the quiet inner satisfaction of something that is already done. Your brain begins to operate from that reality, not toward it, from it. It starts making decisions from that place. It starts filtering information from that place. It starts noticing things in your environment that it was completely blind to before, because now it is looking through the eyes of someone who already has what they desire. And this is why so many people spend years trying to manifest what they want and never see it arrive. Not because they did not want it enough, not because they did not try hard enough, not because the universe was ignoring them, but because they never felt it as done. They felt it as wanted. They felt it as hoped for. They felt it as, please, I need this. Why is it not here yet? And their subconscious, faithful and obedient as it always is, kept producing more wanting, more needing, more of that desperate reaching toward something that always seemed to stay just out of reach. The shift is quiet, but it changes everything. Stop feeling toward what you want. Start feeling from it, not pretending, not performing happiness you do not feel, not forcing a smile while your chest is tight with doubt. Just a genuine willingness to let the feeling of already having become more real to you in this moment than the feeling of still waiting. One moment of that, one genuine moment of inner settlement, of quiet certainty, of course this is mine, and something underneath the surface of your life begins to move. That feeling has a very specific quality to it, and it is important that you understand what it is and what it is not. It is not excitement. Excitement carries a trace of surprise inside it, and surprise means some part of you did not fully expect it to happen. It is not relief. Relief means something was wrong before, and wrong means lack was real to you. The feeling you are looking for is quieter than both of those. It is the feeling of course, of naturally. Of this is simply how things are for me now. That ordinary confidence, that calm knowing, that inner certainty so settled inside you that it does not need to announce itself to anyone, including yourself. Your subconscious responds to that feeling, the way a compass responds to magnetic north, immediately, completely, without hesitation or negotiation. It does not need time to process what you are feeling. It does not need you to explain yourself. It does not need proof before it begins to act. It only needs the feeling to be genuine. And the moment it is, the moment that quiet certainty takes root inside you without resistance pulling against it, something begins to move. Not loudly, not with signs and signals flashing around you, but it moves. Underneath the surface of everything you can see, it moves. Now I want you to understand something about time that most people have completely backwards. You have been told that results take time, that real change is slow, that if you just keep going, eventually it will happen. And in one sense, yes, the outer world moves slower than thought. Physical reality does take time to rearrange itself. But here is what nobody tells you. The decision happens instantly. The moment your subconscious accepts something as true, the moment that feeling of already having lands inside you without resistance, the outcome is already determined. What you experience after that moment is not the universe deciding whether to give it to you. It has already decided. You are simply watching the physical world catch up to what your inner world already knows. This is why some people receive what they want the same day, not because they were special, not because they used the right words or the right method, not because they meditated longer or visualized harder, but because they reached a place of inner completion so total, so free of contradiction, so clean and settled and certain that there was simply nothing left to delay the expression of it. No inner conflict pulling against the desire, no part of them still holding on to the old story, no voice whispering, but what if it does not come? Just a quiet, complete, unshakable acceptance, and life had no choice but to respond. You have felt something like this before, maybe not about manifestation, maybe not in the context you are thinking about right now, but you have had moments where you simply knew something, where a decision settled inside you so completely that the questioning stopped on its own, where a certainty arose so naturally that the outcome almost felt like a memory before it had even happened. That feeling, that exact quality of inner knowing, is what your subconscious recognizes as done, and done means it begins. The only question left is this: are you willing to feel it before you see it? Not blindly, not forcefully, not by pretending the doubt is not there, just willing. Willing to let the feeling of already having sit inside you long enough to become more familiar than the feeling of waiting, because one of these feelings is going to shape everything that happens to you today. One of them is going to determine what you notice, what finds its way to you, what shifts before this day is over, and you get to choose which one. That choice, that single, quiet, inner choice, is where everything begins. Most people are waiting for permission from circumstances, Permission from results. Permission from the outer world to finally feel the way they want to feel. They say, when it happens, I will believe it. When I see it, I will trust it. When the money arrives, when the person comes back, when the situation changes, then I will relax. But that is not how this works. That has never been how this works. The outer world does not lead, it follows. It has always followed. Every single experience you have ever had in your life, every circumstance that found its way to you, every relationship, every opportunity, every closed door was a reflection, not a random event, not luck or coincidence. A reflection of what was already alive inside you, of what you were already assuming without even realizing it. This is not a comfortable truth, because it means that the waiting you have been doing was never caused by the world being slow. It was caused by something inside you still holding on to the feeling of not yet, still gripping the story of it has not happened, still living from the identity of someone who wants this but does not have it. And your subconscious, reading that identity perfectly, kept producing a reality to match it. Identity is the deepest level of this work, not affirmations, not visualization, not techniques, identity. Who do you believe yourself to be at the level beneath all your thinking? Not who you say you are, not the words you repeat to yourself in the mirror, but who you feel yourself to be in the quiet moments when nobody is watching and no method is being applied. That is the version of you your subconscious is always working from. That is the blueprint it is always building toward. And here is the thing about identity that most people never fully grasp. You did not choose your current identity consciously. It was formed through years of repeated experience, repeated emotion, repeated assumption. Someone told you something about yourself, and you felt it enough times that it became true inside you. Not because it was actually true, but because repetition and feeling are the exact language the subconscious understands. Repetition and feeling. That is all it takes to write a new story at the deepest level of who you are. So what does this mean for you right now? It means that what you are practicing today, this moment of choosing to feel already fulfilled, this decision to relax into certainty instead of tension, is not just a mood shift, it is an identity shift. Every time you return to the feeling of already having, every time you choose calm certainty over anxious waiting, you are speaking directly to your subconscious in the only language it truly understands. You are saying, this is who I am now, not who I am trying to become, not who I hope to be, who I am, now. And the subconscious listens to that, not eventually. Not after you have proven yourself. It listens immediately because it has no reason not to. It does not judge your desires. It does not decide whether you deserve what you want. It does not consult your past to determine whether your future is allowed. It simply reads your current inner state and begins organizing your reality around it. This is why relaxation carries so much power. A tense body is a body living in threat, and a body living in threat is a subconscious working to protect you from danger, not to deliver you into abundance. When you are tense, your entire inner system narrows, your perception narrows, your creativity narrows, your ability to notice opportunity narrows. You become focused on survival, on managing, on getting through. And getting through is a very different experience from receiving what you desire. But when you relax, genuinely relax, something opens. Inside you, not just physically, psychologically, your perception expands. You begin to notice things you were completely blind to before. A conversation that carries an opportunity, an idea that arrives quietly and feels exactly right, a coincidence that is not really a coincidence at all, but a response from your environment to the shift it senses in you. These things were always there. You simply could not see them because your inner state was too narrow, too tense, too focused on what was missing to recognize what was being offered. Trust is what keeps you open long enough to receive. Because here is the honest truth. The shift in your inner state does not always produce immediate visible results. Sometimes it does. Sometimes something changes the same day, the same hour. Sometimes within moments of you truly letting go. But sometimes the outer world takes a little longer to catch up with the inner decision you have made. And in that gap, in that space between your inner acceptance and its outer expression, doubt tries to move back in. It whispers familiar things. Nothing has changed. You are fooling yourself. This is not working. Maybe it is not meant for you. And if you listen to that voice, if you give it your attention and your agreement, you interrupt the process, not permanently, not irreversibly, but you create friction. You reintroduce the conflict. You send a mixed signal to your subconscious that undoes some of what you had accepted. Trust is the thing that keeps you steady in that gap, not blind trust. Not trust that ignores what is in front of you, but trust that understands the nature of how this works. Trust that knows the inner decision was real. Trust that knows the subconscious heard it. Trust that knows the outer world is already in motion, even when your eyes cannot yet confirm it. This kind of trust is not weakness. It is the most psychologically sophisticated thing a human being can practice, because it requires you to hold your inner state steady in the face of contradicting evidence, to remain the person who already has it, even when the mirror has not yet caught up. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up the next morning to check whether it has grown. You do not stand over the soil in panic, wondering why you cannot see the tree yet. You know something is happening beneath the surface. You trust the process you cannot see, and you allow it the space to complete itself. Your assumption works exactly the same way. The moment it is planted genuinely inside you, it begins to grow, not visibly at first, but the roots are forming, and if you leave it alone, if you trust it enough to stop interfering, it will break through. Now I want to speak to you about something that sits underneath both relaxation and trust. Something that most people overlook because it sounds too simple. To be powerful, expectation, not the anxious kind. Not the kind that is really just disguised worry dressed up in hopeful language, true expectation. The kind that does not grip. The kind that does not demand. The kind that simply knows. There is a very specific feeling to genuine expectation. It in more is the feeling of someone who has ordered something and knows it is on its way. They are not panicking. They are not checking the door every 5 minutes. They are not questioning whether the order was received. They simply know it is coming, and because they know, they go about their day with a quiet ease. They are ready to receive, but they are not desperate to receive. That readiness without desperation. That is the energy that accelerates everything. Desperation repels, not because the universe is punishing you for wanting too much, but because desperation is the feeling of lack. And lack is what your subconscious produces more of when that is the dominant signal it receives. Readiness attracts, because readiness is the feeling of someone who knows something good is already in motion. And that knowing, that quiet, undemanding certainty is the exact signal your subconscious uses to continue organizing your reality in the direction of your desire. So how do you build this expectation? Not by forcing it. Not by repeating it to yourself until you almost believe it. You build it by returning. Every time your mind drifts toward doubt, you return to the feeling. Every time the outer world tempts you to react from the old story, you return to the feeling, not with effort. Not with struggle, just a gentle, consistent return to the inner state you have chosen. This returning is the practice, not the visualization, not the affirmation, not the method, the return. Because each time you return, you deepen the groove. You make the new assumption more familiar than the old one, and familiarity is everything to the subconscious. What feels familiar feels true. What feels true becomes real. You are not trying to convince your subconscious of anything. You are simply making the feeling of already having more familiar than the feeling of still waiting. That is the whole practice. That is the complete instruction. And it is enough. More than enough. To begin shifting your experience before this day is over. There is a version of you that already exists, not in the future, not in some distant possibility you are working your way toward. right now. Existing in parallel with the version of you that is reading these words, that is carrying the weight of waiting, that is still asking when. That version of you is not anxious. They are not checking. They are not measuring. They are not rehearsing worst-case scenarios in the quiet corners of their mind. They have what you want, and more importantly, they feel exactly the way you are trying to feel. The gap between you and that version is not time. It is not effort. It is not worthiness. It is only assumption. What you are assuming about yourself right now. What you are assuming about what is possible for you. What you are assuming about how life responds to you. Change the assumption, and you do not move toward that version of yourself. You become them, instantly, completely, without transition. This is what the subconscious makes possible. It does not recognize the distance between who you are and who you want to be. It only recognizes the feeling you are living in right now. If you are living in the feeling of already having, your subconscious assumes you already have it, and it begins without hesitation, without question, without requiring your permission to build the outer circumstances that match that inner reality. You have spent enough time living from the wrong version of yourself, not because you were weak, not because you were doing it wrong, but because nobody told you that the version of you doing the waiting was never the real you. It was a habit, a deeply familiar, deeply practiced, deeply believed habit of assuming that what you want belongs to a future self you have not yet become. That habit is not the truth. It is just old, and old does not mean permanent. Right now, in this moment, you have the ability to drop it, not through force. Not through years of therapy or practice, through a single decision made at the level of feeling. The decision to be done with waiting, not impatiently done, not desperately done, quietly done, completely done, the kind of done that does not need to announce itself because it is so settled inside you that it simply is. And from that place of being done, your entire relationship with your day changes. You stop looking for signs that it is coming and start moving like someone for whom it has already arrived. You stop rehearsing what you will do when it happens and start living the way you would, live if it had already happened. Your posture changes. Your tone changes. The way you enter a room changes. The way you make decisions changes. Not because you are performing, because you have genuinely shifted the inner ground you are standing on, and the world around you, sensitive and responsive as it always has been, begins to feel that shift. People respond to you differently, not because you said something different, because you became something different. Opportunities appear not because you searched harder, but because your expanded inner state made you visible to them. Circumstances rearrange not because you forced them, but because you stopped adding resistance to their natural movement toward you. This is the part that is difficult to explain to someone who has not felt it, because it does not look dramatic from the outside. There is no lightning bolt, no sudden miraculous reversal of everything, just a quiet, steady, almost invisible shift that starts happening the moment your inner world settles into its new assumption. Small things first. A conversation that opens a door you did not know was there. A thought that arrives with the particular quality of already knowing exactly what to do next. A feeling that something is in motion, not wished for, not hoped for, but actually in motion. That begins to color your entire experience of the day. And then the bigger things, the things you have been waiting for. They come, not always in the way you imagined, not always through the channel you expected, but they come because the subconscious does not care about method. It does not care about the specific path. It only cares about the instruction you gave it through your feeling. And when that instruction is clear, when it is consistent, when it is free of the contradiction that comes from doubt, the subconscious finds a way. It always finds a way. I want you to understand something before we reach the end of this. You are not broken. You were never broken. The delays you have experienced, the times things did not come, the moments you felt invisible to the life you wanted, those were not evidence that this does not work for you. They were evidence of a misunderstanding, A misunderstanding about where reality begins. You thought it began out there, in circumstances, in other people, in timing, but it has always begun in here. In this. In the quiet, consistent, felt assumption about who you are and what belongs to you. And now you know. Not as a concept, not as an idea you find interesting, as something that has landed inside you at a level deeper than thought. You know that your subconscious is listening. You know that relaxation is not passive, it is the most powerful signal you can send. You know that trust is not weakness, it is the discipline of someone who understands how reality is actually formed. You know that expectation is not arrogance, it is the natural state of someone who has accepted their desire as already real. And you know that today is not too soon. This moment is not too early. There is nothing that says what you want must wait until tomorrow, until next week, until conditions are right and everything lines up perfectly. The alignment is an inside job. When you are aligned, the outside has no choice but to follow, not eventually. Now. So here is what I am asking of you. Not tomorrow, not after you feel ready, not once doubt has completely disappeared. Right now, choose the feeling, choose the version of you that already has it. Step into that body, breathe from that chest, see from those eyes. Not as a visualization exercise, not as a performance, as a genuine act of becoming. Let the tension go, not because everything is figured out, not because you have proof it is coming, but because tension was never helping you. It was only adding noise to a signal that was trying to get through. Let it go, and feel what is underneath it. Underneath the tension, underneath the doubt, underneath. The years of waiting and wondering and almost believing there is something else, something quieter, something steadier. Something that has been there the entire time, waiting for you to stop arguing with it. A knowing, a deep, calm, unshakable knowing that what you desire is not outside your reach. It never was. It was only outside your assumption. And your assumption, as of this moment, has changed. You are not the person who is waiting anymore. That identity belongs to who you were before you understood what you now understand. You are the person who knows, who trusts, who expects, who moves through this day with the quiet, certain, unannounced confidence of someone for whom life works, for whom things come, for whom doors open, for whom what is desired does not stay desired for long before it becomes received. That is who you are now, not who you are becoming. Who you are. Carry that into the rest of this day, into every conversation, into every decision, into every quiet moment between the noise. Let it be the ground beneath your feet, not something you have to remember, not something you have to force. Just the natural, settled, unquestioned truth of who you now know yourself to be. And watch. Watch how different today feels from the inside. Watch how the world around you begins to soften, begins to open, begins to move in ways that feel less like coincidence and more like confirmation. Watch how what you have accepted inside starts finding its way into the world outside. Quietly, precisely, without struggle. Because this is the truth that was always waiting for you to find it. You were never meant to earn this. You were never meant to wait for this. You were never meant to struggle your way into a life that was always already yours. You were only meant to accept it, to relax into it, to trust it completely, to expect it naturally, and to know with every cell of your body, with every quiet corner of your awareness, that what you have accepted within is already alive, already moving, already finding its way to the surface of your life. Today, not someday. Today, it is already done.